Hey everyone, and guess what we're here to talk about today? It's time for you to get rid of your EV. That's right, EVs are terrible. The fudsters are out there, as you see by the title of this video. I'm here to disclaim most of all the FUD out there and why you are going to end up driving an EV whether you like it or not. So, one caveat. The media. I need some coffee for this. There's nothing like coffee. Oh, this is brought to you by Tostito Baked Lays. Please check out my soon to be coming nacho video so you can have the best nachos you've ever had while you're watching the football game or the basketball game or the, anything really. Mostly football. So, let's get down to the nitty gritty and say what these fudsters are out there saying, all this fudster stuff. I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people that make a lot of money just creating crap. Just like, oh, hey, I'm gonna get a gas one because gas is faster. I can fill up in 12 minutes and you gotta sit there and charge for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I beat you. Well, let's get into it. Does EVs have a problem? Well, the media wants you to believe that. Yes, indeed, the media will find the one thing out of 100 million that is different. So say you have 100 million EVs on the road. There's about 40 million. 100 million EVs on the road. And one of them crashes into a tree. That's the news. Okay, one crashed into a tree out of 100 million. Probably because the guy wasn't paying attention. But hey, that's the story. So you got to understand, our media doesn't report news anymore or facts anymore. It's just about finding the one that's different. So if everyone is happy, but there's that one that's different, that's the guy on the news or gal or whatever. It's the one that gets reported, not the 99,999,999. Nobody cares about those people anymore. 29% of people that drive an EV are giving up their EVs and going back to gas. Well, that survey did come out and has a lot of problems with that survey, but they don't mention on the news how many people that have a gas fuel that have converted to EVs. They don't bother to mention that. I'm not going to get into that. There is a reason you give up your EV. There's a reason for it. You want to tow something that is heavy a long distance because the media focuses on this. You can't tow your RV from Vancouver to Halifax in an EV. It'll take you 4,700 days. Well, first of all, if you're going to tow something heavy a long distance, you do not buy an EV of any kind except for maybe there's just one, and it's not a Tesla. They suck. Silverado EV people. I test drove one the other day, 725 kilometers on the highway. 725 kilometers. I did my usual 400 to 425 kilometer trip that I need to do at least once a week, sometimes twice. And I got back, it was minus 10. I got back with 300 to go. Wow. And wow, that's all I have to say. Now, I hope to get a video with that, but that's just how it is. Didn't get it, didn't have time. It was winter, I had work to do. Didn't have time to film a video because I had work to do. So the 29% giving up on EVs going back to gas, well, that number's not true. But if you do want to tow something large, something heavy, over a long distance, and a long distance is more than 300 kilometers, okay? You want to do more than 300 kilometers in a day, then yeah, go get yourself an F-350, people. Quit screwing around. EVs are going to be 99% of the market, but there will still be gas cars out there. This thing that they all disappear, no, another fudster from the media. So, number 2, tires wear out real quick on an EV. You gotta buy tires every 40,000 kilometers. Look at those videos of them Tesla people running out of tires in 40,000 kilometers. Oh, I gotta get new tires every 27,000 miles. No. I just clicked over 100,000. 100. It's in the little thumbnail. Put it in the little thumbnail. I clicked over 100,000, 100 kilometers on my Lightning the other day. Guess how many times I've replaced the tires? Once, at 90,000. And the only reason I replaced my tires at 90,000, because the guy said, you know, you could probably get another 10,000, maybe 15,000 kilometers out of this. And I said, yeah, I know, but it's October. It's October. And I said, I can't risk it. Winter's coming. I do a lot of kilometers. I don't want to get a flat. I put new tires on. So I put new tires on at 90,000 kilometers. No problem. Factory tires. And everybody knows that factory tires that come on cars and trucks, okay? 60K max. My Ford Escape Hybrid, when I bought it, had to replace the tires at 60,000 kilometers. And that was really pushing it. And the only reason I pushed it, I knew they were getting worn, but it was June. So I waited again until September because winter was coming. And I put the Firestone all-weather 3-mountain snowflake tires on that car. And oh, what a tire. I honestly should buy the Firestone company and make more of those. I make those for my EV truck. But you know, EV trucks have to have a tire a certain way. So no, tires do not wear out faster than a gas-powered truck. You know, your tires are going to wear out based on how you drive. And yeah, if I launch 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.9 seconds, which my F-150 Lightning does, and I did that all the time, I'm going to wear my tires out. If you've got a SRT, whatever, Jeep or a Raptor or a GMC Denali HD or you know, whatever it is, and you're flooring it off the light. First of all, you don't hear me flooring it off the light, which is just wonderful. It's not noisy. You're so noisy and loud and stinky. You don't even know how you do it. But the one thing I will tell you right now, please write this down. If you drive an EV for any length of time, like the F-150 Lightning, and I'm telling you, you drive the F-150 Lightning for a couple of months, and then try and go back to a normal truck, you won't even last an hour. You'll go back to wherever the Lightning is and get back in the Lightning and do whatever you need to do. Way more fun to drive. Way more fun to drive. So that's number 2. Your tires wear out. Well, that's driving. That's not EVs, okay? It's not EVs. That's just fudster heaven out there. Get the FUD going. Get the FUD going. That just sounds for fudge. So then next up is battery replacement. Oh no, you buy an EV, you gotta replace your battery. As soon as you hit 100,000 kilometers, you gotta replace your battery. Well, I'm at 100,100 kilometers. I don't have to replace my battery. I keep doing what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure I'll get 500,000 kilometers. But when I hit 300,000 kilometers, like always with all my vehicles, that's a lot of kilometers. You know, if that's 30,000 a year for 10 years, I'm going to have to get a new car. I guarantee you there'll be nothing wrong with my battery. Oh, I might only go 400 kilometers instead of 520 kilometers. But there'll be nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. In fact, why the manufacturers don't give a better warranty on the batteries is beyond me. It's like they're giving the fudsters a reason to say that the batteries will fail at 100. Give a 500,000 kilometer warranty. Why? I guarantee you, you're not going to be replacing any batteries. If you're replacing a battery, it's because of manufacturer defect, not because of the battery. You charge your iPhones and that so many times a day. Like, come on. Same battery. Chemistry. Look it up. There's a thing called Google. Then, so the battery replacement at 100,000 kilometers, it's going to be so expensive. Well, no. I guarantee you're going to see a video when I hit 300,000 kilometers. Because this is crazy. They're just crazy. It just doesn't happen. You will see the media. If you search media, battery replacement. There was one the other day on a Silverado. I spent $140,000 and I had to replace the battery. Well, first of all, it was covered under warranty. And 2, battery manufacturing defect by General Motors. And I got to tell you, this Silverado EV, I really want to like it. There's a couple things I don't like about it. aesthetically, especially how those fins come down from the cab to the box. Don't like that at all. But batteries, the bolt caught on fire. And then GM didn't want to do anything. Keep it outside, no do anything. They stopped making it. They get LG to replace all the batteries, a $40 billion thing. GM doesn't do it. And then they come out with the Bolt, all brand new and everything, with new batteries, no fires. And there have been no fires. Zero, zip, nothing, zero. But then they stopped making it. And then now they got all these other ones, the Equinox, the Blazer, the Silverado, the GMC Sierra, the Hummer, the Lyric, the Optic. I mean, go on and on and on. But I don't really trust them. Give me a 10-year, $500,000 warranty on battery replacement. I'll trust you then. But I don't know. I'm going to have a real hard time buying one of these because of that. I need a smaller car for my work, because driving a truck downtown to show condos, difficult to do, especially lately. Next one is they catch on fire. You know, if you buy an EV, you're gonna catch on fire and die. It's just gonna instantaneously explode and catch on fire. Well, guess what? Here's the stats on that. In North America, last year, there were, according to the US government, 265,000 cars and trucks caught on fire last year. 265,000. Are you listening to me? Mr. Fudsters, media people, all you CNNers and CTVs and CNBCs and NBCs and CBE. I mean, they're all three-letter company names. It's just absolutely hilarious. They try and come up with a four-letter one just for fun. How many were EVs? Five. That's it. 5 in North America, EV battery fires. 5. I'm not going to go into the reasons. I'm not going to go into the reasons why 265,000 gasoline-powered cars caught on fire last year caused $3 billion in damage. 5 EVs caught on fire. 5. That's it. 5. I would put money on in 2025 there'll be less EV fires. But if there's even one, it will be on the news. But I would like the news to cover all the fires when it comes to vehicles and put every one of those fires on the news. I'm sorry, but the news would just be cars catching on fire every time they come on the air. Because if there's 265,000 vehicle fires in North America, there's not enough news hours in the day to show them all. This is FUD out the door, and it just keeps getting recirculated all over the place. Nobody tells you how much fun it is to drive an EV and how much cheaper it is to drive and how much cleaner it is to drive and all this other kind of stuff. No, nobody wants to tell you that. They just want to FUD you into, there was an EV that caught on fire yesterday, and this is why. The next thing is up about the Fudsters is charging your vehicle. Filling my gas vehicle is much faster, and I spend less time at the gas station in a year. I would say you spend more time at the gas station than I do. Road tripping. Now this is where the DC fast chargers or the filling up the gas tank is road tripping. And this is where the media and the Fudsters have a lot of fun. You know, if you're going to drive from Vancouver to Halifax in a Tesla Model Y, you know, you're going to have to stop and charge 485 times, and you're going to spend, you know, this many hours, and it's going to take you this much longer. If you took a gas vehicle, you'd just be there in 2 days. Can't do that with an EV. Okay, you're absolutely right. Can't do that in an EV. But guess what? If I was doing that trek in Canada, you're absolutely right. There are not enough chargers. No way. Not enough chargers. Just get on the Trans-Canada Highway and go. You would think they'd be all over the place. They are not. They are not. And this is a long distance. If you want to do road trip, which is all they talk about is road trip, this is where the Fudsters come in. They don't talk about driving around the city. If you're driving Uber, which I do on bad weather days, I don't need to drive Uber. But when the weather's bad and it's snowing, people have to wait an hour in my city. And I'm like, I'm going to drive Uber when the weather's bad. Because quite frankly, when the weather's really bad, nobody wants to look at houses in a blizzard. So You know, all the kids are gone. So I drive Uber on bad weather days. It's wonderful. It's fun. I have yet. I did 10-hour stint the other day because there was a blizzard driving people around in the city in my truck. I'm not even an SUV. They know it's a truck when it comes. They have to be able to get in, or I can't pick them up. But I mean, people are waiting 45 minutes to an hour to get a ride because of the weather. Well, bad weather days, Randy's an Uber driver. That's right, Lightning Man is out there Ubering. And I get to meet really neat people. Real estate's really where my business is. But I've never run out of battery. It was minus 20 and blizzarding the other day. 10 hours. I was out there for 10 hours. I didn't even plug in once. So don't talk to me about the battery being drained when it's cold. Your range does go down when it's cold. There's no doubt about that. So, I was talking about DC fast charging. And there's a little kicker for you. Look at this Fudster. Here's some Fudster that's not a Fudster. And you can do the math. Currently, right now where I live, gasoline is $1.49 a liter. Unless you go to Sylvan Lake, it's $1.22 a liter. So if you want to drive 178 kilometers, you can get gasoline for 25 cents a liter cheaper. I don't think it's worth it, but I'm just letting you know. Remember, I do it in an EV, so I don't really care, but I sure do notice 149 to 122. Whew! What's going on there? I don't know. Sorry, gas people. But you're right. You need gas. And you fill up. It's fill up and gone. I got a DC fast charge. You say I'm sitting there for hours and hours and hours and hours. Well, on 40,000 kilometers, they did the math. I went and looked at all my flow charges, because most of the time I'm at a flow charger, then maybe the odd Electrify Canada, but mostly flow. Okay? And I do have my Tesla adapter now, but I haven't, again, even where I live, Tesla chargers are tough to find. I haven't had a low enough charge to go and check it out, but it's 80 cents a kilowatt hour. So just to let you know, some Fudster, Fudster, DC fast charging your vehicle on the road right now costs exactly the same, if not more, than gasoline. You know, an F-150 EcoBoost truck goes about 900 kilometers. But my Lightning only goes 500 kilometers. Okay? So I got to fill up twice. I remember when you charge, you only go to 80%. So 80% of 500 is 400 kilometers. That means I got to charge the 80%, and you don't go below 10%. You know, I go down to maybe 5% sometimes. So I'm 2.5 charges. So you're just driving. So think about that. You can just do the 900 kilometers. You pee your pants, but you could do the 900 kilometers. I got to charge twice. I got to sit there. And do I get a fast charger? Well, no, I'm not going to get a fast charger. So I'm spending, and this is the argument from the Fudsters, you're just spending hours. But here's the kicker. Other than road tripping, how much time do I spend at the gas station? 0. How much time do I spend at DC fast chain? 0. 0, 0, 0. And when I do have to do it, it's because I'm out showing houses and acreages and stuff, and I didn't plug in the night before and I'm getting low, and stop off at one of my favorite DC fast chargers. There's only 3 in the whole city that I can use. 3. Oh, that's it. Okay? And they're 55 cents a kilowatt hour, 65 cents a kilowatt hour, 70 cents a kilowatt hour, and if I use Tesla, 80 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's what it is. Well, if you're paying 80 cents a kilowatt hour, you're paying more than what it would cost to fill up your truck with gasoline. Okay? If you're filling your truck up with gasoline, $1.30 a liter, because that's what I figured it out at, not $1.22 like it is in Sylvan Lake. $1.30 a liter. That's what you're paying. You are doing those kilometers for less money on the road than I am in an electric vehicle. But around the city, I'm charging at home at 8 cents. It's free practically. I have solar panels on my house. I charge my truck for free. Costs me nothing. So it's winter where the range goes down in half, and it's 50%, people. Minus 20, you're gonna lose half. 500 turns into 250. Simple as that. So the Fudsters out there, when they talk about cold weather, because, oh, well, it's cold 365 days a year, which it's not. But that's the news. They got to put that out there. Where your range is so much lower, don't buy an EV. How many people road trip in snowstorms across the country? Not very many. I don't know anybody that's doing it. I don't even know anyone that wants to do it. So anyways, there's your FUD on the DC fast charging. Long road trips, yes indeed, I will spend many hours DC fast charging, but drive around the city going to Red Deer and back, which is 370 kilometers, going to Edmonton is 300 kilometers away, and coming back from Edmonton. If I'm going to Edmonton, I'm going there for a reason. I'll just stop off at the Sherwood Ford, plug in, go have lunch, come back. You know, that thing is so fast. On my truck, that Sherwood, they got the right charger, man. Charges 157 kilowatt hours for 14 minutes and then it drops to 122. I'm at 90% and under 30 minutes. I can't even go have lunch with somebody. I went and had lunch, came back, it was at 100%. Felt really bad. I made a sign. If I'm at 80%, unplug me and go charge your car. I put it in the window now. Because I went to have lunch and we started talking. We were there for an hour. The truck was 100%. It was 100% on the way home. So if you're doing 300 kilometers going to Edmonton for a football game, a concert, something like that, visit somebody, well, you're visiting people. So that time doesn't really matter. Next Fudster thing, EVs emit more CO2 than a gas-powered car. The manufacturing, blah, 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 total CO2 production. Oh my Lord, this is the greatest fuddrucker futtering that I have ever seen. This is super. This is a phenomena. That the Fudsters really got going. So, my truck emits this much CO2 when it's running. 0. Nothing. Zip. Nothing. Nada. Whatever that is in... I don't know what it is in French. None. None in French. It's not nada. Nothing. When you drive your F-150... when you drive a gas-powered vehicle, you are going to emit 2.3 kilograms of CO2 for every liter you burn. That's right. And if you drive a diesel, you're going to emit 2.7 kilograms of every liter you burn. That's 5.6 pounds for a gas car and 6 pounds for a diesel vehicle, like a transport truck. And transport trucks will not be electrified. We have not figured out how to do that efficiently yet or cost effectively. My Lightning emits nothing. 40,000 kilometers last year. You know how much CO2 I emitted? Nothing. I have an 8.65 kilowatt hour system on my house for generating electricity. That gives me 78 fills of my truck. Okay, I can charge my truck 78 times in a year for free from the sun. Thank you. If I'm using electricity, it's water, natural gas on. This is where they say, well, you're using coal. No, we don't use coal anymore. Not where I live. In fact, I don't think there's any coal. I think there's 2 coal producing plants for electricity left in Canada. I think there's 2. They got exemptions because they were just built. The other thing about burning gas, and this is what people don't talk about, is you know what else you're putting in the air besides CO2, and I don't put any of this in the air. If I'm charging my truck up using electricity and it's natural gas produces CO2, heat, and water. Okay? And 0.09% are particulates. Did you get that? 0.09 of 1% has COVs. Okay? Now, it's so small, that's why they call it clean burning natural gas. The particulates are so small that, and they're kind of a rounding error. That's why they don't mention it. There are some, but very, very little when you're burning natural gas for electrical generation. So the CO2 is going in the air, but nothing else. When you burn your gas, nitrogen oxides that go in the air. Diesel especially, NOx. Volkswagen spent $40 billion because they put NOx in the air and lied about it with their diesel vehicles. And then they spent another $40 billion, $80 billion total. So they had to buy all the cars back, give people something else. And then they created Electrify Canada, Electrify America. Okay? And they did a really poor job of it. I'm going to be honest with you. They didn't go state of the art and say, hey, we're going to do this state of the art. We're going to use the crappiest stuff we can possibly find. The other thing about burning gasoline gives you volatile organic compounds. This is where the NOx combines with something else and you get ground level ozone. Very bad. It's not the ozone up there protecting us. This is the ground level stuff. You don't want this. And particulate volatile matter. This is what gives you the smog when you're looking. What's that brown stuff? It's from your engine. Okay? This is burning gasoline. And also chlorofluorocarbons, which are terrible. You get all this from burning gasoline. I don't get any of this driving an electric vehicle. Fudsters, stop lying. Nothing. Zero. My F-150 Lightning over 100,000 kilometers produced zero CO2 in the air. And your regular F-150 produced, how much? Did you remember? Did you remember? I already forgot. I ain't even told. And your regular F-150 produced 5 pounds of CO2 for every liter you burned plus all the other crap. Okay? I'm zero. And I can go 0 to 103.9 seconds. And you take 8 seconds. So, nana boo boo. What's next for the Fudster? Okay, now let's recap on FUD stuff that kind of comes up but nobody really mentions. One is brakes. On your regular truck, you're going to replace your brakes however many kilometers that is, depending on how you drive. But on an electric vehicle, you have regen braking. I'm at 100,000 kilometers. I took my truck in the other day to have a nice little tire rotation and check my brakes, and my brakes are at 85%. How can my brakes be at 85% over 100,000 kilometers? Well, I can tell you why. Regenerative braking. I'm just using the brakes at the very end. In fact, I hardly ever use them. 2, if you want better range, do not use one pedal driving. This is Newton's law of motion. The amount of energy it takes you to get in motion, okay? The wind resistance and all the stuff and the one pedal braking that slows you down. It slows you down too quickly and then you got to get back up into traffic. The amount of energy that gets you going, if you coast, not one pedal drive, you take your foot off the pedal and it just slowly slows you down. It regens slowly, but takes you from 80 kilometers an hour down to 70 kilometers an hour, and then the traffic goes back up to 80 kilometers an hour. It takes you very little energy to get back to 80, whereas one pedal would slow you down too quickly. And you will never, ever, ever get enough energy into that battery that you're using to propel yourself forward. Coasting is the way to go. Also, you're going to use 7 liters of oil to fill up your F-150, and you're going to change that. If you use a synthetic, you're supposed to do it every 8,000 kilometers. I do 10 in mine, so you would have done 10 oil changes and 10 oil filters, and maybe a coolant flush and a whole bunch of other things on your engine thing, okay? And maintenance, you're going to definitely have done the brakes. You're going to definitely have done the tires. I did tires. You did tires. I did no brakes. You did brakes. So you spent money on brakes. I didn't. You spent money on oil changes. I didn't. You spent money on whatever else they charged you or whatever else went wrong. I got nothing. I got nothing. All I got was had to change the tires at 90,000 kilometers, and I'm off for my next 100,000 kilometers to 200,000 kilometers. So this is the Fudsters doing their FUD thing, scaring people out of EVs, and just to let you know, everyone's going to be driving an EV in 10 years. By 2035, that's all there's going to be. Don't get me wrong, there will always be F-350s around, and the comparable versions in the other automakers, for as far as I can see. 2, there will be transports around. This is where the Fudsters lose it, and where the media complains. There will not be electric transport trucks. Will there be electric delivery trucks in the cities that don't go outside of the city, do not go over 100 kilometers an hour, are mostly delivering in and around, that kind of a thing? Most absolutely, we have that. But there's no way a transport truck is going to take a load of a Super Bee taking a load of lumber from Calgary to Edmonton in an electric truck is not going to happen in my lifetime. They haven't figured out how to do that yet. They will figure this out at some point in time, but there's no way. Grain trucks, Super Bees hauling grain just north of me, all the farmers, all that kind of stuff. That will be diesel. It will continue to be diesel. Okay? Smaller combines and whatnot. I think the combine could be electric. For sure. It's got to be able to run 12 hours straight without stopping, because that's what they do. And there's nowhere to charge out there. So, will those be electric? I highly doubt it. Just because you've got no way to charge it out in the middle of a field. So this large diesel stuff, really large heavy duty diesel stuff, hate to tell you, not going to be electric. Mining equipment, yes, underground mining equipment, everything electric. It's already electric. Emissions and everything kill people, blah, 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 blah. So welcome to the Fudster. Get rid of the FUD and get out there and get yourself a great EV. But remember, be very careful. Some of these prices are huge and you got to get value, because the 500E at 240 kilometers is not value at $35,000, $40,000 in Canada. That's not value. $15,000 is value. So be careful, have fun, and remember, get out there, enjoy yourself, leave a comment, say hello, and I will see you in the future.